Today we're talking about serving God and having fun. And it is very peculiar to the millennials and youth of today because anything we want to engage in must be fun, must be amusing, must be catchy, must be something we derive a sense of happiness or pleasure in. So it leaves us with the big questions if, as youth, as Christians, as believers, we can, serve God and still have fun. The answer is yes. But before I go into how, I would like to define what is fun. And from the normal dictionary definition of fun, we see it as any activity that will derive pleasure, enjoyment, sense of amusement from something that makes us happy or gives us pleasure. Now, many people feel that being Christians or believers is boring or even a deprivation of things that gives us happiness. Some denominations have tagged some activity as being sinful because they feel it goes against the Christian ethics. But at the end of the day, we look at it. Will God want us to be Christians and not be happy? Will He want us to be His children and yet not still derive fun? No. Now, when we look at what fun is anything that gives us happiness. Which means even sleeping can also give you happiness if that is what you derive joy from. So it must necessarily not be something evil that we must derive fun from. Now, if you look at the lives of the Jews from captivity down to when they became a kingdom, we see that they had a lot of festivals, a lot of activities that gave them joy. They had dedication of the temple, and you can imagine the music that filled the air, the number of drinks, food, wine that was available, the dancing, and the merriment that accompanied the children of God. That's to tell us that even as Jews, they knew what it was to be happy and had fun. As Christians, Christ didn't die for us to also live in abject brudeness. He also wants us to be happy, and that was why He even came down and redeemed us with His own life. Now, the question why many people consider serving God as being boring or less fun is because of some of these reasons. Fundamentally, the Bible says that people die because of their lack of knowledge, and also foundation once destroyed, what can the righteous do? Our understanding of what fun is has already been daunted. And this has caused why many misinterpretations have arisen. Many of us don't believe that anything fun or catchy can be drawn out of a religious background or out of a religious circle. We feel it is too sanctimonious and therefore it looks boring. But really, that's not what is that's not really what there is to it. Now, first of all, we also look at the society in which we grew up in, the world in which we have today, as in one way or the other, felt that idiosyncrasy of secularism, so much that even Christians see many godly activities as being irrelevant or illogical. And so if I have to do something, I have to be convinced, I have to see connections or logic in it to do it. Well, that is the world in which we found ourselves today. And thirdly, even those who are even in church, do they really do what they're supposed to do even as Christians? Are they in groups that they can use their gift of talent properly in? Someone who can't sing and finds his way in the choir, will they end up, just either causing problem there or not even being happy with himself? So there are a whole lot of things to why we consider serving God as not fun, but we all know that the reverse is the case. Fundamentally, we should understand that Jesus Christ Himself came to give us joy, and He came to give us that life in His abundance, according to John 10:10. And you see, when He says He wants to give us life in abundance, He means that He wants us to have life and have everything that comes with it. The joy, the happiness of being human beings, more so as His co-heirs to His Father. Now, ways by which you can even derive fun from being Christians. Fundamentally, the first one is we should serve God according to our gifts. For every person has a special gift in which God has endowed him with. If you're a good reader, we have ministries in the church that will aid you to be a better one. Likewise, music. Likewise, those who feel they can pray. Likewise, those who want to be philanthropists. The church is a very, very big gathering that can suit whatever potential or gift that you have. Why not go into those areas where you know your gift will be well appreciated and develop it there and see if you will not have joy and it won't be fun. The second one is we should know our limit as Christians. Most of us, we want to do everything. We want to, fulfill the fulfillment of, or fulfill the promise of Christ on earth. But we should understand that we are human beings, and for that, we already have limitation. Therefore, we should do what we can in the best way that we can. And when we understand that we can't do the whole work ourselves, That is the work of Christ Himself working in every one of us. We're able to give even that little thing we want to do. We'll do it, and we'll do it well with so much happiness. And at the end, be contented. And that contentment is what gives us happiness, and we still consider it as being fun. And the last one is finding joy within. Thomas Aquinas talked about two ways to get joy, and he said it's through exterior and through the interior things. Exterior things we know, we can list them, but then if inside is not happy, if we don't have that peace from within, whatever externalities that we engage ourselves in, we'll still end up not being happy. So it still focuses on the fact that we must look at our hearts, we must look at how we live our life as Christians, and that will enable us to be happy. And therefore, every other thing we see around us, every other activity that we engage ourselves in as Christians, become fun itself. Lastly, we should understand that the psychological and mental health of our well-being is very important. We cannot build our spirituality on a broken human or on a broken person. So that already leaves us with the question that our psychological health is key. Therefore, we should engage in activity that allows us to unwind, to relieve stress. There's no sin in going to the cinema, no sin in going to the beach, having concerts, going for carnivals, going for decent parties, attending celebrations, go watch the opera. These are things that makes us unwind, and one way or the other become psychological and mentally stable. When we have a good psychological and stable mind, therefore our spirituality will continue to flourish. Another great source of joy and happiness is when we share our joy with our brothers and sisters. When we share our happiness with those around us, the fact that we see them smile because of us is enough reason to give us joy. So at the end of the day, when we live our lives truly, genuinely as Christians, I tell you, fun will be an understatement. It will be something that will give us peace and fulfillment. And what is fun if you don't have peace and happiness? What is fun if you don't have that internal satisfaction and pleasure? And all this we can get as Christians. Thank you.